What if I told you that every single action you take, every word you speak, every thought you think, is like a stone dropped into an infinite pond, and the ripples never truly disappear? What if the ancient concept of karma isn't just spiritual philosophy, but actual physics? And what if science is finally beginning to prove what the sages of India knew thousands of years ago? That your actions don't just affect your future, they literally shape the fabric of reality itself. Welcome back to Nature and Soul. I'm your name, and today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood, oversimplified, yet profoundly scientific concepts in human history: karma. But we're not talking about what goes around comes around as some cosmic punishment system. We're going deeper, much deeper. We'll explore how Newton's third law, the physics principle you learned in high school, might actually be a gateway to understanding the mechanics of your soul's journey. We'll look at how quantum entanglement, action-reaction principles, and even the nature of time itself suggest that your life is far more interconnected with the universe than you ever imagined. By the end of this video, you'll never see your daily choices the same way again. If you're ready to explore the hidden mechanics of existence, hit that subscribe button and let's begin. Let's start with something you experience every single day. You wake up, you make coffee, you rush to work, you deal with difficult people, you make decisions, some big, some small, and at the end of the day you wonder, does any of it actually matter? In modern America, we're conditioned to think in terms of immediate results. We live in a culture of instant gratification. We want to see the payoff now. But life doesn't work that way, does it? You've probably noticed that some people seem to do terrible things and get away with it. Others do everything right and still struggle. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem just. This is the paradox that has haunted humanity for millennia. If there's a moral order to the universe, why is it so hard to see? Here's where it gets interesting. Recent theoretical work in physics, work that extends Einstein's theories and Newton's laws, suggests something remarkable: that the principle of action and reaction isn't just about billiard balls colliding. It may be a universal law that applies to consciousness itself. Think about that for a moment. Newton's third law states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is Physics 101. But what if that law isn't limited to physical objects? What if it applies to human actions, to intentions, to the very energy you project into the world? This isn't just spiritual speculation. This is a serious question being explored at the intersection of physics and philosophy. The ancient Vedas called this principle karma. The word literally means action in Sanskrit. But they understood something that modern science is just catching up to: that action and reaction aren't separate events. They're part of a single, unified process that operates across time and space. So what exactly did the ancient sages understand about karma that we're only now beginning to grasp? Let's start with the basics. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most profound spiritual texts ever written, karma is described as the law of cause and effect that governs all living beings. But here's the key. Karma isn't punishment or reward. It's not a cosmic scoreboard keeping track of your sins and virtues. That's a simplified, westernized version that misses the point entirely. Think of it this way. In American football, when you throw a pass, you're making a choice. That choice has consequences. It might result in a touchdown, an interception, or an incomplete pass. The ball doesn't punish or reward you. It simply responds to the force you applied to it. Your life works exactly the same way. The ancient sages taught that every action has three components: the senses that perceive, the work that's done, and the doer who acts. But here's where it gets subtle. The reaction isn't always immediate, and it doesn't always come from the same direction. This is where the concept of Maya comes in. The illusion of separation. We think we're isolated individuals acting independently in a random world. But the sages understood that everything is connected. Your actions aren't just your actions. They ripple through the entire web of existence. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a crowded room and you push someone. That person stumbles and bumps into someone else, who spills coffee on another person, who gets angry and yells at someone else. The chain reaction continues. Your one action didn't just affect the person you pushed, it affected the whole room. The Sanskrit term for this is karma phala, the fruit of action. Your actions are like seeds you plant. You don't always see the fruit immediately. Sometimes it takes years, even lifetimes. But the seed never disappears. It's always growing, always evolving. Swami Vivekananda, one of the great spiritual teachers who brought Eastern philosophy to the West, put it brilliantly. Each action, each deed, has its effect. Every thought has its result. There is no such thing as a meaningless action. But here's what most people miss. Karma isn't just about your physical actions. It's about your intentions, your thoughts, your emotional energy. Every time you harbor resentment, you're planting a seed. Every time you act with compassion, you're planting another. The challenge is that we live in a culture that rewards immediate gratification. We want results now. But the soul operates on a different timescale. And that's where the connection with physics becomes absolutely fascinating. Now let's talk about what science has to say about all this. Here's the mind-blowing part. The concept of karma as a universal principle of action and reaction has a direct parallel in modern physics, not just in Newton's laws, but in something far more profound. The complete relativity framework, which extends Einstein's theories, suggests that the law of action and reaction isn't just a physical principle. It's a fundamental law that must be satisfied over time for existence to be possible. In other words, reaction isn't optional, it's inevitable. But here's where it gets really interesting. In physics, reaction doesn't have to be instantaneous. It can be delayed over time and space. And when you apply this to human interactions, you get something that looks exactly like karma. Think of quantum entanglement, what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. When two particles are entangled, they affect each other instantly, regardless of the distance between them. This suggests that connection isn't limited by space. Now apply that to the concept of the soul. The complete relativity framework proposes that actions and reactions occur between field potentials. Imagine them as invisible energy fields that hold the memory of every interaction. These fields get charged by your actions, and eventually they must discharge through reactions. This is where the science gets genuinely profound. The framework suggests that when information about past actions is preserved between incarnations, it must be stored in space, not in standard matter, but in the structure of reality itself. Think of it like data stored on a hard drive. The physical hard drive isn't the information, it's just the medium. The information is a pattern, an arrangement. Similarly, your actions and their consequences might be stored in the structure of the universe. And here's the most remarkable part. Because past and future are correlated in this framework, the reaction to an action can not only be delayed, it can actually appear as a precursor. This suggests that cause and effect might not be as simple as we think. In some sense, the future attracts the past. Let me put that in everyday terms. Your current actions might be influenced by karmic patterns from the past, but they're also shaping future karmic patterns that will in some sense reach back. This is getting into deep waters, but the essential takeaway is this. Modern physics doesn't contradict the concept of karma. In fact, it provides a framework for understanding how karma might actually work. Mario Lyubachik, who has explored these connections in detail, puts it this way. There should be no doubt that karma is real. One might wonder about its mechanics. In short, it must be diverse. The reaction to your actions doesn't always come from the exact same source. It might come from someone equivalent to the person you acted upon, or it might be fragmented across multiple events, or it might be delayed across incarnations. This answers one of the biggest objections to karma. Why do bad things happen to good people? The framework suggests that reactions can be delayed, and the delay itself can span multiple lifetimes. So how does this help you in your everyday life? First, it changes how you see your actions. Every interaction is significant. Every word you speak to your partner, every email you send at work, every thought you hold in your mind, these aren't isolated events. They're part of a chain reaction that extends across time and space. This isn't about paranoia or guilt. It's about awareness. Here's a simple practice. Start your day by considering the ripples you want to create. Before you react to someone in anger, ask yourself, what seeds am I planting right now? Before you gossip, before you judge, before you dismiss someone, ask yourself, is this an action I want to see reflected back? The complete relativity framework suggests that in periods of strong evolution, karmic reactions become faster and more intense. Some people argue that we're in such a period right now, that the acceleration of events in the world is in part a karmic response to collective actions. Whether or not you accept that interpretation, the practical implication is clear. The more aware you become, the more you can consciously shape the chain reaction of your life. Try this. Take 5 minutes each evening to review your actions of the day. Notice the reactions you've already seen. Notice the patterns. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about observing the mechanics of your life. Over time, you'll start to see the connections between what you put out and what comes back. This is simple mindfulness, but with a deeper understanding. You're working with the fundamental laws of existence. So let's bring this together. Karma isn't a cosmic punishment system. It's not what goes around comes around as some simplistic moral equation. It's the recognition that we live in an interconnected universe where actions create ripples, and those ripples never truly disappear. The ancient sages understood this through inner exploration. Modern physics is beginning to understand it through outer exploration. And where these two paths meet, we find something remarkable, a unified view of reality where consciousness, action, and the fabric of the universe are deeply intertwined. Your actions matter. Your intentions matter. Your thoughts matter, not because someone is keeping score, but because you are part of a vast, interconnected system where everything affects everything else. The question isn't, is karma real? The question is, what kind of chain reaction are you creating? What seeds are you planting today, in your relationships, in your work, in your own mind? So what do you think? Is karma just spiritual philosophy, or is it a fundamental principle that physics is just beginning to understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this video expanded your perspective, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and hit that subscribe button to join our community of truth seekers. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, where we'll explore what quantum physics has to say about the soul's journey beyond death. This is Nature and Soul. Stay curious, stay conscious, and remember, you are not just living your life, you are creating it with every action you take.